I was also evaluated by medical professionals about my shoe talk. Ah! I'm gonna lose it, dude. Even with how weird I know all this stuff is, I did not expect to read that line. Chuggaaconroy, the fiendish foot fondler, has made a response to allegations made against him and comments made about him back in January. If you don't remember, there were 3 different women talking about her. Talking about him. What's going on in my brain? There was someone called ladyemily who went by something Cheshire. She talked about how he tried to suck her into foot fetish roleplay when she didn't want to. Suggested he crossed barriers he shouldn't have, so on and so forth. Read through her stuff, that didn't seem like much. At most awkward, if I remember correctly. She got some shoes out of it. He wanted pictures of the shoes on her and whatnot. Okay. She knew what was going on. She knew what was up, was my judgment. He had a girl called Lolly, who at the time of talking to him was 15, I believe, and he was 19. That one was a bit uncomfortable. That one was a bit, I've been reminded by chat that the term pedo crush was uttered. She referred to it as pedophilia. Jokingly, but at the same time, yeah, that conversation between him and her went into inappropriate territory for sure. The pedometer is measuring more than just footsteps in this instance. But, if I remember correctly, he indicated awareness that it was improper, sort of backed off at some point. He didn't go full pedo. At the very least. There was also a third woman who I never really looked at. I didn't look at what she said about him, so I figured a good point to start would be with whatever this lady said about him. Because she's also the first one he addresses in his response, so it's good to have that in our minds. This lady is called masaeanela. I guess. Masaeanela. She said back in January, when people were dumping all of their personal lore regarding Chuggaaconroy and his foot fondling, she said, after the number of people who inquired about Chuggaaconroy over MagFest, I feel I need to make this clear. I have not associated with Emil for years, nor are we friends. Total cutoff. And my understanding is these people, she was in videos with him. Right? Yes, 4.3 million impressions, 9.6k likes, 2.7k retweets, 1.7k bookmarks. Yeah. Any cameo, she says Splatoon 2, recorded long before our falling out, or interaction/mention, such as Coliseum Twitch chat, was posted and done without my consent, after I had made it clear that I did not want to be associated. Damn. Dominated. He captured her spirit on tape and then released it to the masses to consume like a buffet. Incredible abuse. She continues, I am uncomfortable with the way he has talked to/about me in the past, which has been a huge point of distress. But specifically, I'd love to see an example. The thing is, this is posted for people who are already familiar with these people and their output, so unfortunately, I'm fumbling in the dark a bit here. But it sure does sound like he's a monster, just really crossing boundaries with this person, who he I guess barely knows. Maybe a friend, but friend no more. Insane. Combined with the way he's spoken to/about others, particularly women, mega misogynist, okay, in private and public, it is concerning, and I do not want to associate with that behavior. So far, the vibe is just a content creator that did crossover with him sometimes, right? That seems like what the relationship was in the past. Emil has historically been one to push boundaries, and being faced with a following as large as his is absolutely harrowing. Did you know that your viewers are a literal army? You have to figure out the difference between your online following and theirs, and that number is how many people you have to fight to the death if you get cancelled. Even establishing my own personal boundaries carries an inherent risk. What is this? Sounds so extreme. I had to let him touch me, or his fans would DM me. What personal boundaries to me is very intimate. For a long time, not quote-unquote rocking the boat felt like the safer option. Look, if he has fans that are gonna hurt you in real life, they're just crazy and they'll hurt you whether you're on good terms with him or not. I've seen the recent posts and his apology. I've privately received several from him over the years that have rung hollow with his actions. Actions like what? Towards you? I don't think she says here. I'm tired of hearing it, have no more chances to give, and I'm exhausted from pretending/politely dodging topics when he is brought up. For my own comfort and safety, I will not be attending events that he will be at. Yeah, she wants to leave with her toes intact. She's afraid he's going to just leap on her and suck those nails right off. Unless it's a public space where I'm able to avoid him. Large-scale conventions. I'll stay away from conventions he's at, unless it's high-profile enough, right? But also, I'm imagining this chick Assassin Creeding her way past the guy. Like, he's going sniffing for those toes that he knows the scent of so well. And she has to blend in with the crowds to mask her toe odor. I have not seen him in years, and I have no intention to start again now. To those who have unknowingly asked me questions about him, either at MagFest, in private, or in chat/comments, I hold absolutely no ill will, and I do not fault you. But moving forward, I will not be reciprocating discussion about Emil further in any capacity. Her toader. God. This is my personal line in the sand, made because I no longer want to quietly tolerate people speaking for me, assuming the wrong things, or incorrectly associating us as friends/collaborators. That's interesting. Yeah, that would be an incorrect characterization of their relationship. Spoiler. To those who have also been hurt, I empathize with you and wish you all strength. So this makes it sound like he's a diddler. To me. Damnation through vagueness. He has tried to apologize to this person many times, ostensibly for crossing personal boundaries. He sounds like a molestoid. He sounds like a diddler. This fellow content creator that he collabed with had to apologize for crossing personal boundaries. Think about what your read on their relationship is. What do you think the connection between these two people has ever been? What's the closest they've ever been, do you think? If you know, don't answer. If you know for sure, but if you don't know, guess the closest this person and the accused have been. Kurochi says Discord call. Okay. Interesting. Back in January, the impression people got was like this when she made this statement. So this random person says, "It's so strange to hear all this. I fondly remember you and Chugga had such natural and genuine chemistry whenever you collabed together. I couldn't even begin to imagine what could have possibly ruined a friendship like that." Someone else responds and says, "Well, it seems like it's all there in black and white, unfortunately. Chugga started showing a disregard for personal boundaries. Likely was trying to push for a romantic relationship, and she didn't want that, so things deteriorated." This is the kind of impression her statement was giving random people. And that's a quick catch-up on the third person we never covered on stream. She sort of said this bolstering the other people who had more concrete accusations of specific behavior. This lady is also the first person we'll see Chugga respond to. So Chugga said, "Hey everyone," on Twitter, and has a link to a Google Doc and says, "Or keep reading here." So I can just scroll. He says, "Hey everybody. It has been a long time since I last shared anything with you, but I now feel ready to give an update on how I have been doing, and clear up speculation on some incidents that have been brought up since my last message. Whenever something blows up online, people make a lot of incorrect assumptions based on not knowing the full story, and often assume the worst possible context. I mean, the example where you're talking with that 15-year-old when you were 19, clearly cognizant of the impropriety of it, that one, they've got you a bit on that one at the very least. I would like to start by clearing up these misconceptions. I haven't wanted to reveal info about others, but I think at this part it's best that everything is out in the open. I have removed irrelevant personal information, as I only want to say as much as I need in order to set the record straight. Please do not bother anybody I name here. I do not want others to experience what I went through. I have already asked that people not harass my accusers, and it is disappointing to see this ignored or not respected. Look, people being super demented online, they incite it towards themselves. If your accusers are acting demented and they're freaks, that's more of a call to action than you telling people to do it, and telling people not to cannot counter the degree of incitement inherent in their existence as a demonic entity. Okay, I truly don't want anybody to be attacked over this. Regarding Maasai, whatever, isn't that an African tribe? Regarding Maasai, the lady whose statement we just read. Maasai and I dated for 10 years, and we were engaged to be married. She makes it sound like she's just a fellow content creator, a colleague even, who he's pushing personal boundaries with in a professional setting, albeit, the professional setting being YouTube Let's Plays or whatever they do, right? And he had to apologize for, creeping on essentially a coworker or something. No, they were dating for 10 years and they were engaged to be married. Granted, that doesn't mean you can't cross boundaries, but she certainly painted things in a very, very different light, to the point where people were believing and stating their theory that the problem was he was pursuing romance when she didn't want it, so that's how things fell apart. No, they got engaged. It fell apart about 3 years ago now. They were engaged until 3 years ago, and that's how she described their relationship and issues with him. Okay, in every video you've ever seen us together in, I was her boyfriend, and our friends all knew about it. You're probably wondering how this stayed a secret for so long. We both wanted our private lives to be hidden at the beginning. After the engagement, I wanted to share it, but Maasai stayed firm that it remained private. Ooh, even now, after the fact, when discussing their relationship, she wants to keep it private. In a way that makes him look far worse than he may have been. Of course, she didn't include specific examples. It could be that, while they were dating, while they were engaged, he could have done bad things. If she specified those bad things, they could be enough. What she did instead was vaguely characterize him as crossing boundaries and make it look like he was crossing the kind of boundaries that exist between friends. It creates an image of someone trying to push things in a direction, as you can see from the people commenting on it and their understanding of what must have happened. Seems highly, highly calculated. Although, Kurochi, it is fair to say, with his foot lore coming out, true, I would not want it to be known that I was, oh my god, I can't talk. I would not want it to be known that I was engaged to this individual, either. But my option there is to simply stay quiet rather than to post misleadingly. She was never clear to me as to why, but I respected her wishes until it was necessary to clear this up. We loved each other. Snopes checked this and found it false. She never loved you. No, and I thought the world of her, but we had a difficult breakup. Losing her was the hardest thing I'd ever gone through, and I regret how emotional I got about it and the way I handled it. How did you handle it? That is what happened between us. We would both like to never hear about one another again, and I sympathize with her getting bombarded about my situation after a breakup. The feelings she expressed go both ways, and I don't wish to be associated with her going forward in any capacity either. Yeah, she tried to make you sound like a rapeoid. She tried to bolster the credibility of the idea that you were a mega rapeoid. Yeah. As for her video cameo after the breakup, I did that because I believed we were still friends, and just taking a break from each other. But once she told me she didn't want them, I stopped. If this is true, she was being absurdly dishonest, because presumably, the point at which you're recording that, you've indicated that you consent to it being used as content. Presumably that's how they'd always done it. He assumed it was still fine. He's saying eventually she did tell him, and then he stopped after that. So she revoked media consent, and he stopped. I have strong feelings about the way it was said. But I am asking you nicely to not run away with speculation about her, because I know what that feels like. Why do you know what that feels like? Who helped you experience the full force of that, Chugga? And if you felt bad for enjoying our old videos, don't. I couldn't imagine writing this line. Don't feel bad about enjoying my old Let's Plays. This, I would, ooh, this, I believe the correct word is parasocial, yes? I still look back on them fondly, and personally assure you that, like, I could imagine it being uncomfortable to watch, or like, oh, I don't really want to watch this anymore, because like, oh, it's two people bantering and having a good time together, but I know that nowadays they're like mortal enemies, and she tried to screw him over by being vague and misleading, and he's a bit of a cuck, not really going for the throat in response. I don't want to watch this. I can understand being like, ooh, I don't want to watch this, it's uncomfortable. I don't understand. Man, I feel so guilty enjoying that I enjoyed this video of people playing a video game together. That's illness. That's disease. I still look back on them fondly, and personally assure you that we were happy and having fun in them. They were a genuine, good time Let's Play. Every time I think of Epic Mickey episode 62, I get reminded of divorce. The time for that is just over now. That's it on Masai. Okay, Lady Emily. Lady Emily is the lady who accused him of trying to force her over and over into foot fetish roleplay she wasn't comfortable with when she'd told him she didn't want to be anything more than friends or something. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure it will come up again and our memory will be jogged. There is a video on the channel where we went over this. In 2023, so new lady. This is the lady he sent shoes to, wanted pictures from, wanted to do roleplay with. Foot roleplay. In 2023, Emily contacted me through a friend who spelled out how our conversations made her feel. I was shocked by it. Apologized to her, and to some friends I had said/done similar things with. It was well received among the people I talked to, and I'd like to say here that I'm sorry to anyone who hasn't heard this from me. I'd hope to tell you on my own terms. If I remember correctly, is this the one who said he was like pressuring her by messaging her a bunch of times in a row because she suddenly wasn't responding anymore? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get to it. I'd hope to tell you on my own terms. This was genuinely the first time this behavior was met so negatively to my face. At the time, I was told that this would not go public as long as I never did it again, which I have not done since. I took it to heart and sought professional help immediately. What kind of help? Your addiction to feet? Your addiction to sending e-girls shoes? I felt like shit for months, and was seeing a therapist about it every week. And by the start of January, I felt I was making some great strides in improving. I was only sending out 2 pairs of shoes a week. Only sending 5 roleplay messages in italics over Discord a month. I took Emily's words seriously and was doing my best to take responsibility. But unfortunately, it all ended up going public anyway. It crushed me inside that despite my efforts, Emily and many others would see me as irredeemable. This won't go public if you do this. He did that, then they went public. I want to dispel a few things said about me by Emily. I didn't ask her for foot pictures constantly. I asked once if I could see a picture of her wearing the shoes I bought for her, which I honestly didn't realize would make her uncomfortable. I've gone through our logs and could find no evidence of that claim that I was constantly asking, or that it was of her bare feet. I'm not even into bare feet, you see, I'm a shoe fetishist. I don't think this is a fair summary of our chats. My kink doesn't define every aspect of my life. Just 90%. Just 90%. I bought Emily shoes because she told me hers were damaged and needed replacing. Is he gonna pretend, is the like shoe and foot fetishist gonna pretend it was 100% just because she needed the shoes? Okay, no, I don't buy this. I bought Emily shoes because she told me hers were damaged and needed replacing. Then told me it was almost her birthday half an hour later. Yep, I remember this. Yes, she was baiting you into getting shoes for her. Yes. It was spur of the moment, and I just wanted to help out a friend. I do not believe for a second there wasn't more to it, okay? Even if it wasn't shoes, right? A girl going, oh, my handbag, it ripped. By the way, it's my birthday tomorrow. If that works on you, I don't believe that's entirely platonic. Okay, I don't buy it. Which is fine, but I don't buy it. Especially when we know you're into foot stuff. I've also made jokes about feet and bought shoes for most of my friends throughout my life. Even for people like Tim. Come on, man. I love those Crocs you got me. Anyway. Chugga says, nice sneakers. She responds, lol, thank you. I need new ones, to be honest. My everyday pair is starting to see some damage. Seems sadly typical due to thin fabric. He's such an expert, man. Yeah, the curse of liking shoes that aren't durable. Got them on sale, though. So for $20, can't complain. Hope you've been doing well. Hey, thank you. I just finished editing a video that was nuts to make. The break here is just talking about my video, etc. Allegedly, okay. Do you got any goings-on other than having holes in your shoes? Perhaps a pungent odor is seeping out. No, not much. Got back from Vancouver last week, visited Blank, and stayed with them. That was a wonderful time. Besides that, it's just been settling back in, playing Zelda, and trying to figure out what my month is going to look like, planning-wise. How wonderful that is. I hope you're having a fantastic Pride Month. You deserve so much. Is that something you just say to people? That's weird. To me, that's like something you say to someone you're in a relationship with. Like after you get them something or something. If they're like, no, and it's like, no, you deserve it. You deserve everything, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. You deserve so much. Thank you. It's my birth month too, so hopefully it's a good one. I deserve a lot. Thank you. Hope I get a bunch of stuff. Oh, shoot. When's your birthday? June 19th. Wow, another Civil Rights Day. So, like, do you have a P.O. box? I remember this. So this is the girl who clearly was, like, baiting him into getting her stuff. And definitely sending mega signals. And then when he gently went on to stuff, she acted like she was being molestoided. Do you have a P.O. box? Not at the moment, no. Oh, well, I was going to see if I could partake in birthday niceness. Oh, well, that's very kind of you. You can just have my address if you want. Oh, you're going to give me something? Yeah, here's my address. Oh, wow, I didn't expect that. So we're on address basis, ha ha ha. Lol, well, I trust you. You're a friend. Thanks. I've thought of you as a fast friend, too. Happy to hear it. Have you been playing Zelda any? No, I have taste in games. No, anyway, of course I have about 80 shrines. Wow, damn. I don't know how many I have. Lol, I have enough for a full stamina bar and 11 hearts. You can see it on the loading screen. According to this, I've done 54. Good work! If I may be so bold. Sneaker size? 100% jerking off while he wrote that. 100%. Do not pretend for 1 second, Chugga, that this was purely wanting to help a poor lady out who had damaged shoes. There is more to it. Don't pretend. It's more embarrassing if you pretend. Ooh, generally around women's 10, give or take a little, but that's usually what works most often. Nice! A perfect 10. Yeah. She would encourage my roleplay and jokes about shoes. Tiptoeing around it, yeah. And even consented and participated. I remember this, yes. I checked in multiple times to make sure it was really okay, and trusted her with a sensitive part of myself, so that she... sensitive like the sole of a shoe. Sole of a foot, sorry. Sensitive part of myself so that she wouldn't feel misled or like I had ulterior motives. I think that's also why I didn't particularly try to hide this. I thought I was being dumb with consenting friends, and at worst that it was a little embarrassing and my kink was probably one reason I liked the subject. Shoecock. My partner read through what Emily posted and thought the tone was silly, not over the line of what's sexual or romantic for me. This is such a bizarre defense. This is... Who cares? If we're discussing, like, social propriety, what's sexual or over the line of what's sexual or romantic for you? Oh no, I always whack my dick out on the table. To me, that's just a way to say hi, so I wasn't sexually harassing her. This is, like, meaningless. This is meaningless. Or pounding my dick on someone's dinner plate. That's not sexual to me. Stop. I trust your opinion on that more than my own. I was also evaluated by medical professionals about my shoe talk. Ah! I'm gonna lose it, dude. I didn't expect I'd be even with how weird I know all this stuff is. I did not expect to read that line. I was also evaluated by medical professionals about my shoe talk. Their view was that it was a way to feel close to a friend and an escape in times of high stress and tragedy. It would resurface whenever things got particularly bad. Between an e-girl's toes is my safe place. Yeah, YouTube doesn't give sick days. Hope you don't mind all the foot jokes. I guess I just latched on to that after you told me about it. Yeah, just latched on and started sucking. I'm not sure if it's a sensitive subject for you or anything. Nah, it's fine. I don't mind. It's not being explicitly outlined as fetishistic here, but I think there's definitely the connotation. And her saying, like, it's fine, I don't mind. Like, why would you ask if jokes about that are okay? I feel like we're still missing context. She's like, it's fine, bro, just keep the shoes coming. Just keep the shoes coming, dog. Do you like... Oh, damn, I hope this guy also has, like, a handbag fetish, maybe a dress fetish. Hey, Chugga, do you have, like, a latest graphics card fetish? Ooh, I'll send you a picture of my foot on the box. Like, oh, okay. I thought about it more and I was like, ooh, I hope she doesn't have a negative association with that or something. Trigger warning, I want to lick your heels. Nah, it's all good. Also, I hope your day has been good. So that was 12th September, 14th September. Yeah, being forward with you because I'd rather not keep anything from you and let you make the best decision for you. I am into that, but only with my significant other. This is straight bullshit. Am I allowed to say that this is straight bullshit? This is a lie. This is not true. Oh, I'm a foot fetishist, but only with my partner. No, I don't believe you. Oh, it's only sexual for me with my partner, by the way. Let me roleplay like eating your toenails. Like, I just also like talking about shoes with people because it's also an interest. I talked with my significant other about this when we... Hey, my significant other and I noticed your shoes from across the bar, and we thought it would be really neat to try them on. Okay. I talked with my significant other about this when we started dating, and she told me I can talk about shoes with other people because it isn't sexual with my friends. We read this before, but man, it's just something I enjoy talking about with my friends too. For me, personally, masturbating while I talk about shoes with you isn't a sexual thing. It's really just stress relief. I know that might be a lot to share, and I'm sorry if it is, but I feel it's just best to be open with people and consider what I'd like to know if I was in their position. However, as bizarre as that is, her response is, no, I'm glad to know. Good to have some blackmail material. No, sorry. Good to have that openness and common understanding. Is the gap between us and them bigger than the gap between a normie and us? I'd like to believe yes, but I'm afraid the answer is no. Thank you. That's very kind of you to see it that way. I'm always about communication, even if it's about complicated stuff, because why would you not tell your friends important things if you want to keep them in your life? It just dawned on me. This is him coming out. This is him coming out as a foot friend as well, right? Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird. Is there a foot fetish pride flag? Yes, the Nickelodeon logo, not far off. Not far off. Here's one rendition. Chugga needs to change his profile, like Twitter profile banner to this. This is just one artist's interpretation, okay? This is from, believe it or not, that's from DeviantArt. No, dude. Okay. Do you know that... Oh god, guess what this file is called? There are multiple renditions of it. Is that the correct term? It can't be. Stop! I mean, it makes sense based on my knowledge of the root words. It's the podophilia pride flag. They are actually called podophiles. Dude, it makes sense based on the root words, but like, oh god. Podophilia pride flag. Sorry to ping again. I just won't be up too much longer and want to finish talking. The next day, here's when I don't want to see anything uncut from Chuggaaconroy. Podophile pride worldwide. Here's what an uncut talk between us looked like as it transitioned into roleplay. Please. Ooh, PS2 was the console I remember first really getting into. I feel like I missed a lot of Wii games, to be honest. Are you into Wii as well? No, I didn't really get to actually have a Wii. I mean, I kinda had a Wii, but not really. Surprising, I felt like everyone had one. Usually alongside one of the other two, so like, I feel for you, I really do. But if you're still coughing and sick, what do you need shoes for? So if you're not familiar, his roleplay, his fantasy is about taking people's shoes away. He likes taking people's shoes away, de-shoeing them. I mean, yeah, if you want them, go for it. Damn, that was easy. I mean, I'm sick, far be it from me to put up a fight. Is this a trick? Why would I trick you? Here are the shoes, they're normal shoes. Ach, no. Here you go. Here, I'll even give you another pair too. So, she is absolutely 100% on board with this. He's absolutely lying to her when he says it's not sexual with anyone but my partner. 100%. However, I feel like this obvious dishonesty is nullified by her clearly being fine with it. Right? There's no way she's sitting there like, oh my god, I thought this was just friends playing make-believe. I didn't realize he was into it, dude. I've been abused. She's not. She's at no point thinking about that. You can use these later on for potential boss fights or enemy encounters. Oh, fuck off. Lamau. I see you're just putting them back on like nothing happened after tormenting me. You weren't gonna give them up. I'm never gonna give them up. You're asking for it. You're even showing me up at my own shtick. I'm warning you. Do your worst. Discord is full of podophiles, man. Goes over and gives you a hug. Ah, I didn't expect this tactic. Feels nice, hugs you tighter but not uncomfortably. Yeah, but also dang, you got me. Bro, what barrier could he possibly cross with this person that she has not consented to that can be done on Discord? Come on. Yep, I got you. Hugs tighter, now a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna teach you a lesson. Sweeps your legs out from under you and lets go of you as I do. You fall to the floor. I'll grab into each of your shoes and yank them off, leaving you barefoot. I stand back across the room from you. Ow, gross. Does it hurt knowing that's what they really look like? What, the feet? No, no, no! You can't do this to me! Oh, silly girl. I'm not done. You won't be getting these back before your doctor's appointment. Enjoy explaining those feet to the doctor, who will undoubtedly be wanting to study them. I turn and run out the front door holding shoes. Eep, bad, bad. You can't be seen like this in public. You need something to hide your feet with, but I took the only 2 pairs of shoes or socks. No, I will wrap them with a blanket, cocoon myself. And run outside after me like that. I can hop. Yeah, this lady was abused and uncomfortable. Okay, sure. This is the tone of the conversation that led to the roleplay. Led to the roleplay? This is the intro? Bro, I don't want to see what comes next. I thought this was it. I thought the foreplay was talking about PS2 and then this was the meat. I didn't realize this whole thing was just... Holy balls. I think honestly that it reads as pretty silly from both of us. I remember when this happened. I was just playing a video game and laughing to myself when she'd add to it because it was all so out there and dumb. I cackled at her sticker star joke. My girlfriend wanted to add that Emily's decision to include personal information about her, I'd go way... If someone did this to Lucky Bee, I'd go way harder than this. Basically, my family has 0 chance of, like, reconnecting with me because of what they tried to pull on my girlfriend. Like, they tried to dox my girlfriend. People who don't know the lore just know. That's something that occurred, and that's why I was like, thump! 0 chance in future. Sorry, dogs. My girlfriend wanted to add that Emily's decision to include personal information about her was greatly upsetting to her. And this guy doesn't want to torch these hoes. At the very least, you don't want to torch this Miss Emily person? Come on. Emily needlessly, like, at the point at which it's just him, kind of a bitch move to try and let someone get away with that. When it's your girlfriend? No, bro, that's wrong. It's wrong. Unless he says something about her. Emily needlessly published the territory my girlfriend lives in. This was not public knowledge and did nothing to prove any point. In Emily's screenshots, yes, Emily is the Great Cheshire person. In Emily's screenshots, I'm open about having a girlfriend and told her my significant other was fine with all this. Our relationship had no bearing on any of this and never needed to be brought up. I also want to say that I never lied about how this was resolved privately. In my original statement, I said, when you communicated this to me privately a few months ago, I apologized to you directly and promised I would never repeat this kind of behavior again with anyone else. I worded things that way to protect the friend who mediated, as involving others was something I wanted to avoid. I promised my friend I would never repeat this. We discussed it for hours. They told Emily how it went, and then I sent Emily this apology. What the hell is this? This is like mob behavior. Emily's friend talked to me about this. I apologize for everything I did. I will not reach out again. I am sorry. I never claimed we had a conversation about it. I said it was communicated privately, which it was. I don't think a friend being there contradicts that. So you had a go-between? You never actually talked to her about that? This is so weird. I don't retract any apology about hurting her or pestering her for a reply. Why? We saw the alleged pestering and it was literally nothing. It was just you sending a few messages without her responding. It's nothing. After having talked with her a bunch. It's fine. Nothing I've said changes that I did that. I just felt this important context was left out. This is what I was working with and why I was so comfortable doing this. I kept asking if it was okay and kept doing it because she said she enjoyed it. I wanted to be open with someone I cared about rather than just assume, and gave her my word that I wouldn't go into sexual territory for myself. This is so deranged. Don't worry, what I'm doing isn't sexual for me. We're going to go more and more into... I want to go into the shoe territory. I'm really into shoes, including sexually. We're going to go like 6 out of 10 shoes, because shoes only start getting sexual to me at 7 out of 10 shoes. That's so weird. It reminds me a bit of the way Lilia talks about things. So failing at commenting, saying this post is autism, it could be that, but also I don't buy it. I don't buy that he had zero sexual crossover with zero sexual feelings regarding this foot and shoe roleplay. Do not believe it at all. It still wasn't a good way to act. I just hope it's understandable how I could think. Oh God. Due to an autism spectrum disability, I struggle with understanding social cues or people's limits. I don't hide behind this as a shield from criticism. I've learned to live with it. So, to a degree, he's using it as a shield just by bringing it up. He's trying to explain why he asks explicitly, but he doesn't need to defend himself. The amount of asking is weird and cringe, but that's not an example of impropriety, in my opinion. He doesn't need to defend him doing that. And what he's doing in this, I skimmed forward, is explaining why he asked explicitly. Let's read it. I struggle with understanding social cues and people's limits. I don't hide behind this as a shield from criticism. I've learned to live with it. I learned I couldn't always trust myself to say the right thing or not take things too far due to my inability to see social situations the same way as other people. Doctors have told me this is what happens with me. To make up for this weakness, I learned many years ago to be open with people, relying on permission, asking questions, and requesting others to tell me if something becomes too much. This is what I did with Emily, but despite that, she never once communicated that I said anything that made her uncomfortable until she was considering going public. It's interesting that she used a third party to negotiate non-disclosure with him. I wonder if she was hoping to get something. Maybe he's too autistic to realize he was being extorted. Right? Maybe he was being blackmailed and didn't understand that was happening. And that's why it was released, despite him never doing it again. Because he didn't understand they wanted stuff from him. Oh, man. Oh no. I was confused when she started ignoring my... I don't do well with being ignored. It just makes me worry a lot about the other person because I do best with open communication. When I have nothing to work with, I can't really understand what someone is thinking. And in this case, I thought she liked how it was going. It usually leads to me just wishing each day will be the day I get to hear they're okay. I've learned now that repeated messages like this can be stressful to others. It's reasonable to worry about not getting a response from someone, even if it's just like, what did I do wrong? That's normal. That's not crazy abuse. If you're talking just fine with someone for ages and ages, and then they stop responding, sending like a handful of messages in a row to be like, hey, what's up, come on. That's not crazy, insane abuse. That's just regular. Like, if you're going to extend this consideration to them, they're like, oh, that could be stressful for them or whatever. Extend that to yourself and be like, no, it was reasonable to be worried that I'd done something wrong or worried that maybe something had happened. Or I did everything she wanted me to do once she told me she didn't like it and took it into my own hands to get mental help and learn more about my issues. I went to foot friend therapy. It's perfectly fine to revoke consent or decide it's getting to be too much, but this wasn't told to me. I was told the opposite. This isn't the case of I only listened when I got caught. I did listen. Sure. Overall, even just reading Great Cheshire or Lady Emily stuff itself, just reading her perspective, it looked like nothing. Now we're on to the one that I found a bit, lolly. Lolly is the girl who was, I believe, 15, and he was 19 at the time. And, oh god, I'm gonna burst out. I can't read that out loud. He didn't go full pedo, but I would say he crossed some lines. I would say there is definitely impropriety occurring in the logs that I have seen. You're 19? 15-year-old starts like coming on to you in private, gets explicitly sexual in any way, shape, or form. In fact, just generally, unless the conversation is absolutely above board, you cut that off. You just say, sorry, message me again in at least 3 years. just peace out. Maybe don't even say anything, just like, peace out. The second he got her age, bye. Goodbye. Regarding Lolly, there was a chat log shared from back in 2010 when I was 19. About this, I'm not a pedophile. Debunked! Yes, Siffy, her name is indeed Lolly. Yes. Debunked. Can you cite a single source? I have evidence that he is not a pedophile. About this, I am not a pedophile. And I'm not a groomer. Sure, I still think you behaved improperly. Went too far, and I think you definitely should have known better. I don't think he made any sort of attempt to meet up. I'm trying to remember exactly how bad it got. I believe his chat has reminded me the term pedo crush was uttered. Oh, no, you know what? It is pretty bad. Because she was very clearly coming on to him sexually. And instead of drawing a hard line, his first chance to draw a hard line and peace out was when she told him her age. His other chances were her making it clear she had those kinds of thoughts about him and wanted to go in that direction. And he didn't peace out then. That's like strike 2. Strike 3, he would do things like tease her about her feeling. That's like, nah. 15, so not as bad as it could be, but I think 19 to 15 is huge, in my opinion. I had no intention of doing anything to this person. Quite the opposite, in fact. He wants to undo her. The post is taking 2 separate things over a decade apart and showing them together. The stuff from the older time period. I don't think he's going to go that far, Siffy. Do you mean he's not going to say, I was going to teach her the dangers of this. I was going to teach her. No, you think? He's not, unless you've read ahead and he has said it. When I was a teenager, I said lots of dumb things I shouldn't have. The stuff you said to her was more than a joke. She expressed feelings for you, and you teased her about it. That was not a joke. I'm 34 years old now and can't stand by anything I may have typed that long ago. I don't think anyone could. Yeah, I could. What I can do is tell you my intentions. To give an idea of how long ago that chat was, when I was 19, TRG didn't exist. Yeah, and she was 15. It's so long ago that she was 15. When I was 19, TRG didn't exist. Gotta admit, I'm a fake fan. I don't know what TRG is. I presume it's his channel or whatever. I'd never appeared at a single convention. I hadn't started college. I still lived at home. I made videos as a hobby / wasn't professional. And I was working on my first Pokemon Let's Play. I don't think something that old should be treated as representative of the person I am now. Dog, this is a horrendous defense. What are you doing? In any sense. Stop. Stop. It was so long ago that I learned the contents of this log existed when you did. Was reminded of the existence. You know you did the chats. I was extremely hurt to be judged for something from so long ago. Oh, yeah, I said some creepy pedo stuff to a kid, but it was so long ago. It hurts my heart to have this cringe, sus shit surface. Don't care. And that the headline was worded like I assaulted someone. Like, I don't think you're a threat. I don't think you're a pedo. I don't think you're specifically attracted to children. I think you were 19 talking to a 15-year-old. Knew it was improper. Understood that that's a big enough gap to be significant. But you looked past the propriety of it. Probably rationalized it as like, oh, she seems so mature or something. I can do this, kind of, can't. So like, I don't think he's gonna go after kids now or something, but still cringe. Still improper. Still sus. Still real. The internet was a very different place then. And being facetious was everywhere. People are never facetious online right now, are they? Are they, chat? Also not true. If anything, I'd say there's way more pedo-y stuff occurring on the internet right now. Because it's even more accessible. It was also, yeah. It was also not to tease underage person as a 19-year-old about their sexual feelings for you type place. Yeah. It was like our escape from censorship, and the edgier the better. So he looks suspicious at this age now. This is starting to change my opinion of him. What you were doing was not edgelording. I read those logs, that wasn't edgelording. You could be honest about what it was, and say how stupid it was. You could even explain maybe, I knew her age, but because I hadn't met her and I was just text, I kind of disregarded and I thought, no, it's not that big a gap or whatever. Look at how she writes, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could try and say, I was only 19 and I rationalized that the gap was only 4 years or something. And like, I hadn't met her and I wasn't going to meet her, so I played along with it, whatever. He could be honest and be like, that was so stupid. I know it was improper, blah, blah, blah. If he's going to be like, oh, I was just being edgy when I teased this girl who said she wants me to fuck her. No. It was easy to get caught up in the moment and say things I didn't mean when I was that young. You need look no further than my terrible old videos for the tasteless things I thought were hilarious at that age, or how my sense of humor has changed, or how internet culture as a whole has changed. You see, back in the early days of YouTube, the age of consent was actually 12. Now, it might be hard to imagine, but back then, people commonly threw around vulgar language and joked about horrible things like it was nothing. This is so sus. That's not what was occurring in this private conversation. In moments it was. The bit people take issue with is not that occurring. Some people were concerned about one part where I said, I'm going to rape you, and then said something about a video with a cat. This wasn't a serious conversation, it was a popular meme at the time, and I'm sure it was quoting this video. Sure. I remember all my friends quoting it on a daily basis back then. It was like the biggest thing ever. Okay. I'm pretty sure there are bits that he's not. Yeah. I have to agree, Siffy. God. Let's... Oh, God, dude. I remember this being the set of logs where I was like, phew. As for the quote-unquote pedo crush line, I don't even remember saying it. It was 14 years ago. Probably a joke that was topical. Because you were 19 talking to a 15-year-old. Pedo bear was an enormous meme at the time. And jokes dunking on pedophilia were just what internet humor was then. Lolly equals pedo was a common joke. And given her username, an easy one. Yeah, and she was 15. And you're 19. I definitely learned a long time ago that these sorts of jokes aren't cool and could be hurtful to victims. Oh Christ, does he not understand the problem people have with... Wait, I thought he was disingenuously defending himself. But I think maybe he doesn't actually understand the problem people have with it. Which is actually concerning. I was going to say he messed up as a 19-year-old, but it doesn't, he's not like an issue, it's not like an issue now. I don't think he's a threat now. This is weird. Society moved on from this time many years ago, as I have too. You can see the difference between then and now just by looking at anything I type. I no longer use pedophilic grammar. I no longer write pedo prose. Most of the rest of the chat is just boring talk about video games we like. Even given the time, if you still felt like that chat was getting out of hand, I agree with you. In fact, I agreed with that when I was 19. Lolly said she doesn't know why our chats ended abruptly. I can tell you exactly why. It was because I disliked the direction of these chats and how young she was, and I've told her this numerous times. After a few conversations, I took a step back and realized this could not continue. What was all of this up here? Why did you write all of this? And first, this is the thing people care about. After a few conversations, I took a step back and realized this could not continue. She would constantly initiate raunchy topics with my 19-year-old self. We've seen you reciprocate. We've seen you tease her about it. When it's... I was oblivious at first. Thought it was funny shitposting. Played off their behavior as a joke and thought of them as a friend with a dirty sense of humor like many friends I had back then. Right, what snippet has he used? She says, fine, now I'll possess you forever and talk to you and be like, all like, I see dead people and. Make you touch yourself in public. Insert evil laugh here. Chugga okay, I thought he was going to be more selective than this. He responds to that with, why are all the things you do to me sexual? You really do want me. Facepalm, she says. I am an autismo, and at 19, you talk to a girl online and she's like, I'm 15, bye. Goodbye. And that's in the UK, where 16 is the age of consent. After a little while, things started to escalate, and they sent a sexually explicit gift to my house. It made me realize they weren't being silly, they were romantically interested in me. Not the other way around. The whole thing made me and my mother uncomfortable, and after deliberation, I not only rejected them, but cut all contact with them. I actually talk about this in the log they posted, and our contact, hey, it wasn't sexual for me, and that's what matters. But cut all contact with them. I actually talk about this in the log they posted, and our contact becomes a lot less frequent after that. You can see after this point we go long periods of time without talking, and I just tell her I'm busy or need to get going. I don't look exactly thrilled about this gift. Oh, you got it? Chugga says, ellipsis was waiting for you. Well, sorry, my stalker senses aren't tingling. My mom told me I'm not allowed to wear the shirt, though. That doesn't sound like you weren't thrilled. This sounds like your mom ruined it for you. This sounds like even you writing it here, made me and my mother uncomfortable. This sounds like your mom didn't like it. I did not speak to this person for another 10 years. I had no intention of ever re-establishing contact. 10 years later, they approached me at a convention, and that was how we became friends again. I thought after that long she was a new person and deserved a second chance. Not she's an adult now, so it's okay. She's a new person. She learned this 15-year-old learned her lesson and deserves a second chance. This cements it that to him, her sending that was her doing something against him. It wasn't really just an indicator to him that it was something wrong. That was something he held against her. Why is he talking about she deserves a second chance? Oh, I realized what I was doing was wrong when she sent me that. Anyway, met her again later. I figured she's probably a new person now. She's not like that anymore. She deserves a second chance. That's bizarre. That's bizarre. If you need more than just my word that it was joking around and I was the one who stopped it, here's proof. This is me telling this story to them in 2021 and their reaction to it. The ages are slightly off due to fuzzy memory, but this was the event that caused me to cut contact. Chugga says, based on my past rejection of you, I don't think I have to justify that I wouldn't to you. Wouldn't what? She says, you rejected me? No, this is if she didn't remember that. No, this is still just your word then. It's her accepting your word, but it's still just your word so far. Okay, I was going to save this story for when we were in a call, but I guess this is on topic, plus like it's been weeks. Oh God, what did I do, she says. So that shirt you sent me, my mom found that soon after I got it and asked me why the heck I had something like that. I told her my friend Redacted sent it to me. She immediately goes, "This girl has a crush on you, no doubt about it." I go, "Oh, well, she's 14. I was 18 at the time. My mom told me I can't associate with that and that it was dangerous, so I'd better keep my distance." Chugga, you make it worse. It looks worse. So this confirms, alongside your language describing it as her deserving a second chance, your mom made you stop, and you consider what she did to be something wrong that she would require a second chance for, rather than something that just made you realize you were doing something wrong, and that she was a child. Granted, you were barely not a child anymore, but 19 to 15, dog. Why would he admit it to his mum, though, immediately? Because she found it. Like you said, Omega Autismo does not seem to maneuver well. Almost tells the truth too much. So I was going to say, I would never have told you I had a crush on you, ha ha ha. I was big chicken. I knew. At least I was pretty sure of it. Once my mom said that, I sort of analyzed a lot of things you'd said and done. It made a lot more sense after that. Did you think I was a cop or something? Ha ha. I mean, I was pretty sure you were you. Yeah, why would... Wait. Now, this is his explanation of what occurred. Why would this most significant point of what his mom said, and what stuck with him the most, being that his mom said it was dangerous? Not saying that it was wrong. I mean, I was pretty sure you were you, but I didn't want to abuse or hurt you with an unfair relationship. So regardless, it was a hard no from me at the time. Because she had a crush on him. He has a duty of care to her. As a minor. It's not about it being unfair, it's about it being categorically wrong. I'm glad. I was worried you wouldn't like me anymore back then, because I was intentionally snubbing you at least some of the time. And he was worried she wouldn't like him anymore? Nah. It was something of a relief when you were happy to see me at Com Bravo. I just figured you were busy with life and moved on, haha. I kind of had that as a passive excuse. I was hitting the big time around then. I've always enjoyed spending time with you, but at those ages, I wasn't going to let something develop on either side. I wanted you to go find other people. You were still a kid and wouldn't have that time again. I wasn't going to let something develop on either side is like... That's weird. That's the weird one for me. You think the last line is the weirdest one? The last line combined with everything else. But yeah... It still shows a lack of recognition. And remember, this is 2021. This is 3 years ago. This is not when he was 19. This is now, having reconnected with her. He's still not thinking of it in terms of right or wrong thing to do and his responsibilities. He's not just autistic. He's like an infantilized autist. Another side of this is that I confided in them there's no sense of responsibility or duty there. Which I'd say is like the biggest part of not doing that stuff, at the very least. One would hope for repulsion in an innate feeling of, I don't even want to do this. Failing that, sense of duty. Another side of this is that I confided in them as a teen about the girl I liked at the time. It's not. They could have been in high school together. If there was a school where 1-year-olds went to it and all the way up to 20-year-olds, would a 20-year-old fucking a 1-year-old have no questions? They could have been, like, hanging out together. He could have been around the crib. Take that to its logical extreme. Way different? If the idea is, it's fine because they could be in the same place. I'm demonstrating that them being in the same social context, them being in the same physical area, consistently, isn't actually a factor. Why does it matter that they could be in high school together? Right, Chugga says, there's this girl who I think might like me, and I told her something like that last night. I swear to God, she got so risen up from her depression, haha. Is she someone you know personally or just another fan? She started off as a fan. She's hopefully going to this thing in June that I'm going to be at for a few weeks. Pretty much all my friends are begging me to go for her in that time, haha. You has an online love, eh? I really don't know if she likes me or not, but I sort of suspect she might. Most likely, yes, I mean. You're awesome, XD. Was their humor not acceptable by today's standard? No one cares. No one cares. In fact, even the susser stuff I didn't necessarily care that much about. His characterization of it now is like, bro, you're kind of messed up. But this was half of my life ago now. I lack the experience I have now, and I think this shows I had no romantic or physical interest in them as a teen. And even back then, once I knew it wasn't a game to them, I rejected it and backed off. Why would you think it was okay to mess around, play with a 15-year-old. Sorry, the 14 was him remembering wrong. Bro, you got pieces missing, dog. Proper bits missing. It upset me when I learned they wanted me. It put so many things they said into perspective and creeped me out. And I can see it when I read this log again. This was my learning experience about why even jokes like this aren't a good idea, and I've never said anything like this to a minor in the 14 years since. I specifically remember telling my mom that leaving that friendship was the most caring thing to do for this person. Speaking as someone who suffered a lot as a child... What? You can't drop that on us without details? Does he detail this somewhere else? Speaking as someone who suffered a lot as a child... I have many ground rules involving minors, and have taken these sorts of things immensely serious ever since. He does? Okay. I read through all of it, and to my surprise, she's the one who initiates the roleplay. She's the one who pretends to tickle my feet and goes much further than that too. She was the origin of it. He was by a file. Apparently that's what he's saying here. She was the origin of it, at least in this chat. I don't know if she's where I got the idea from, but it's possible. This 15-year-old infected me with a fetish. I guess it's neither here nor there. I didn't know I was into that at 19 anyway. This next point is something I was unsure about publishing for months. I hate that this is relevant, and I would not be sharing this if they didn't post anonymously. I cut contact with them, thinking they just had an innocent crush that needed to stop. It was a lot worse than that. I was disturbed to find they admitted that in these old chats, their goal was to manipulate me into having sex with them. I was a victim of this 15-year-old when I was 19. Shut the fuck up. Actually shut up. I was disturbed to find they admitted that in those old chats, their goal was to manipulate me into having sex with them. Here are 2 separate times they told me this story, as well as a time we briefly touched on. There's no clue. Blank told me younger was better, so I thought you'd like me more if I told you my age. Yeah, I would not have gone for a 14-year-old when I was 18, so can't say I agree with him there. 4 years isn't so bad this far in. But at 14, you're still finding a lot of what life is, and I'd see that as predatory. You're still finding a lot of what life is. Yeah, when I was underage, I wanted to fuck an older guy so badly, LMFAO. It just so happened all the predators around me were inept as fuck. And I just trolled them for being thirsty. Lamau. Chugga, what if she told you she'd been on multiple trips around the world? Oh my god, oof. I'm very thankful you did. What if she was a wizened 15-year-old Chugga? What would you have done? I'm very thankful you didn't end up with one of those. Holy shit. I can see Blank really warped your views. He really did. Thankfully, I have zero sexual attraction to people unless I love them. And all the thirsty weirdos didn't do it for me. And I was and am an asshole, so I literally just fucked with them. Man, here I thought you had a harmless childhood crush on me. Didn't know you wanted to fuck me ASAP. Pa ha ha ha. I am violently sexual. But absolutely. Remove one message personal information. Absolutely, I would not have let you do that regardless of how well we got along. Younger me would be disappointed. Current me appreciates it. Oh, yeah, and I am as well. I guess it just seemed like an unrelated statement. I also remember you were like really off-put by my age, but I was like, I don't see the problem because Blank always talked about younger girls being better, so I was like, legitimately question marks. You told me that story, it's kind of messed up. It is honestly a miracle no one took advantage of me as a kid. I'll say it is. You're very fortunate in that way. I'll say, brother, it was tough. Like I wanted an older dude. Holy moly. I wanted an older dude really badly when I was a kid too. Like, I literally had a goal to have underage sex and was depressed when I turned 16. Man, I'm so happy you never got hurt back then. So happy. RNG, right? You are the luckiest person alive. I think the whole picture here changes everything about their side of those logs. The framing wasn't necessarily the problem. Their framing of events to make me look like the predator. The predator. Not a predator. That is he a smart autist or dumb? Would he deliberately use a definite article? Because he's characterizing her as a manipulator, trying to get him, trick him, predate. He characterizes her as a predator here, and then down here he says, "Their framing of events to make me look like the predator really upset me when I saw this again. Regardless of some jokes on a screen, this is the real tragedy I prevented from happening." What's the real tragedy you prevented from happening? You didn't prevent her from getting fucked by someone else. You only prevented you from fucking her. What do you mean the real... What? I'm confused. I think the whole picture here changes everything about their side of those logs. Their framing of events to make me look like the predator really upset me when I saw this again. Regardless of some jokes on a screen, this is the real tragedy I prevented from happening. What did you prevent from happening? I refused to be their friend for so much less than their actual motive. It wasn't just me either. They said they targeted multiple other adults for sex. Targeted multiple other adults. My feelings about this are complicated. It's horrible in so many ways that they wanted to use me for underage sex. It's horrible in so many ways that they wanted to use me for underage sex. No, do not sweep for this fucking freak. That's fucked. And then frame it like I was preying on them because of some text from 14 years ago. But I also feel for them when I think about how bad their situation probably was. As for the modern stuff they show, that was after more than a decade of no contact. I had only vague recollections of what our conversations were like back then, and years into this new friendship I was asking if, as adults, they wanted to text roleplay but spicy. I was forward about that so they wouldn't think I just wanted silly stuff like I remembered us doing. For the record, I was single, and they were fine with me asking. I wasn't in a good headspace, blah blah blah, asked them about roleplay stuff. It was the worst year of my life. I think I just wanted to feel close to someone I cared about in that loneliness. She told me she liked/missed roleplay, so I thought it's natural to ask. Plus, by that point, we'd been friends again for years. It was 12 years since I cut contact, I didn't even remember most of our old talks, and we put our awkward past behind us, so any bad implications weren't exactly there for me. Save for the one time they ran into me as an adult, I have only ever known this person online. Nothing else ever happened. This was the first time I'd asked them for anything since learning what I liked. More on that in a second. If Lolly is reading this, I'm sorry I made you hurt. I don't think what I've said changes that. I mean it. I don't think you hurt her. In terms of, emotionally. I think what she's saying about it is false. But the problem is what actually occurred. And what I find interesting is the picture he inadvertently, unintentionally paints of himself. She's for sure a freak. But she was a freak child. Though I guess I'm surprised at this. We were friends up until this, got along better as adults, and I was glad to have you in my life without that inappropriate crush. It was basic knowledge to both of us that you were the one who wanted me, and I shut it down. I even apologized last year for asking for roleplay stuff, and you said you forgave me and considered me a true friend. I don't really know what you were thinking. I didn't even remember these chats. So I was genuinely confused by what you'd even be speaking out about when I heard it was you. It hurt a lot to see you say that you don't know if I ever considered you a real friend. So I was genuinely confused by what you'd even be speaking out about when I heard it was you. It hurts a lot to see you say that you don't know if I ever considered you a real friend. I told you that you were awesome and funny and smart. A lot. We got each other through difficult times. You were a bright spot in my a bright spot in my darkest time. I spent your birthday with you. You mattered to me so much, and we just had a nice conversation about how much we care about each other right before this too. I want you to know that I cried when I wrote this because it was the moment where it really hit me that I will never speak to you again. The hardest part of all this was going through our chats to find proof of my intentions. In doing so, I opened a time capsule of a beautiful friendship that doesn't exist anymore and saw all the very real ways we helped each other. I wish you talked to me about it. I would have listened. I saw you as a friend for life. Please don't get angry at the person who posted those chat logs. They were looking out for their friend/my former friend, and it's possible they didn't have this context either. They were being a good friend. I didn't want to open up about this at any point, but it's a part of this now. I've mentioned in the past that I didn't live the happiest childhood. Due to an especially traumatic time when I was assaulted as a child, I was left unable to enjoy sex until well into my adult life. The idea of anything sexual beyond edgy teenage jokes on the internet was foreign to me at 19, and I think my awkwardness shows it. While I may not know why I sent every little I am 14 years ago, I know what state my body and mind were in at the time, how I struggled with comprehending anything sexual, and how it hindered my attempts at relationships, even with people I was comfortable dating. I struggled with concepts like them seeing me naked or enjoying sex for years after that. You can see this in my videos with how inept I was at knowing about sex for so long, or how I could say unfortunate things and not know it. Okay, say all this and take the L. Just say all this and take the L on being like, yeah, that was fucked up. I was fucked up because I was fucked up. I'm not attracted to kids. Perhaps this is also why I didn't shut things down sooner, and how I didn't think of what their overtly sexual messages could mean. Besides people just being dumb as fuck at 19, I had no experience or understanding of sexual situations. It took my mom pointing it out for me to see what was going on. I just matched the vibe of my funny friend until it became too much, and then I left. Because of this accusation, I had to explain what I went through as a kid to several friends who wanted an explanation. It was humiliating and excruciating to relive it with them, and I cried every time. Dog, stop! That's not fair. You can't use that line in your serious paragraph about being abused as a child. Don't say I cry every time. Stop. I was trying to essentially train myself to publicly tell every detail. But I cry every time. Every morning I wake up and I cry. Before I go to bed every night, I cry and then tell my friends about it. I was trying to essentially train myself to publicly tell every detail, but it became clear after enough hard cries and nightmares that I wouldn't be able to do that and be okay. It brought me back to terrible places I thought I was done with. I was doing so well at not letting it affect me for a few years now, but this dredged it all up. Now I'm here telling you. It's out there forever now. I'm sorry, I know it's a lot. No, this doesn't guarantee it, bro. Does he think he can do this like a barter? Where you can be like, I told you my trauma, you have to believe? I don't know. I think you're going to be disappointed, dog. It's humiliating to tell you even this much. In order to be believed, I have to tell everyone about my childhood trauma, my sex life, my health issues, my breakup, what went on in therapy, the mental ward, how my accuser wanted to use me for sex. I'm never going to gel with this characterization of a 19-year-old talking to a 15-year-old on the internet, okay? Stop it. And how I almost died because of this. It's extremely painful to talk about. People think they're owed that from me, and no one will listen if I just say I didn't mean that or I was only a teenager. Right. I think about this in terms of like card game mechanics, okay? If you want to go, I was only 19, you sick fuck. She was 4 years younger than that. This is the price I've paid. You can't emphasize your youth in a scenario where you were talking to someone even younger. This is the price I've paid to show I wasn't preying on someone. I refuse to call it a win that I could explain myself in this way. I didn't win when I went through that. After my recent psychological training, I think my childhood trauma is also how I went through so much of life thinking there was a clear line between my kink and my interest in shoes. After my recent psychological training? Why are you going with victim? What I wouldn't say if a retard crushed a rabbit inadvertently, I wouldn't say that retard is preying on that animal, though. The rabbit, however, is a victim of the retard strength. Also just how normal the roleplay felt. I had only my interest for most of my life. My roleplaying started innocently long before I enjoyed anything physical or even knew I had a kink. All I knew for a long time was I think shoes are funny. And I didn't think it was particularly strange that I worked them into stories or talked about them so much. I would act out stories about my own shoes when I was little and just never really stopped doing things like that. It's also where a lot of my sense of humor has always been, and it really was just a joke for many years. The realization that there could be some crossover happened much later in life. Okay, this is relevant to the Lady Emily stuff. The Lady Emily stuff he's blameless on. Lady Emily stuff he's blameless on. That masaeanela chick, maybe he did something to her, maybe he didn't. She didn't really go into any detail, but the way she put it out there originally was clearly deceptive. I would say highly likely to be malicious, so he wins on those two. Lolly takes a ding as a freak. Even as an adult now, clearly a freak. Was a fucked up kid, clearly a freak now. but he's sus back then and weird as fucking sus now about that. Do I think he's a full-on pedo? No. I think he's just stunted and messed up and immature. I don't think he's specifically attracted to children. But I think it's concerning that he doesn't have like a solid grasp on why it's wrong. And I think it's pretty fucked that he views her behavior towards him as a child as like improper behavior towards him. That he views himself as almost a victim of her predation. I compartmentalized things into what was sexual and what wasn't, probably because I did it for so long without a kink and thought I could go on separating those things by not saying anything arousing for me. It was just very messy and flawed logic for a lot of reasons, and intertwined with something I struggled to make sense of. I definitely needed psychiatric help for this, and I'm really sorry to everyone hurt because of it. This is one of the W's, though. Like, he doesn't need to apologize for this. That hoe wanted free stuff. That hoe wanted free stuff. 100%. Enjoying sex is still a problem for me at 34. Depending on how much I'm reminded of my past, my ability to enjoy it has only existed for a few sections of my life, and I still go months to years without it. I wouldn't even say the kink I mentioned is that strong these days. It's been a long time since I last enjoyed it. It's also associated with trauma now, so I don't think I'll be into that again for a long time. It sounds gross. He's been defetished. Yo! Suicide time! When looking at the full picture of accusations, I want to take this moment to say I've never assaulted or threatened anyone. Every single thing shown was entirely in text messages and fiction. It went no further than that. Don't say that. That sounds so sus and creepy. Stop. Stop writing like this. I feel that wasn't acknowledged much in the heat of all this. I guess it is pretty weird. I don't think I deserve to nearly be driven to suicide, to have so many personal details revealed, or to watch the health of people I love decline. I'd say the thing against your girlfriend is like number one. Rage would be for me, at least. Right. And then for the harassment to continue after it got to that point, especially when I took this seriously long before anything became public. I also absolutely made the right decision to leave that toxic friendship that wasn't fair to Lolly, and I already made that choice 14 years ago to the month. Every single issue here was already resolved privately a long time ago. Sure. Still is pretty weird, though. Can't put the genie back in the bottle, okay? I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. My visit to the mental ward. Oh, this is something I really don't like as well. When someone who hurt themselves goes like, you did this to me. When you use hurting yourself as a rhetorical tool against the people you're claiming caused you to do it, it puts your self-harm in a different light to me. I will be vulnerable with you here, as I hope it might help someone. What, you? Seeing the online speculation about me unfold caused me so much. I lost 8 pounds in a week. Developed internal bleeding. I would use the bathroom and then lose feeling in my hands. Even worse, they kept needing to take more of my blood every day to test me for my existing health issues that were worsened by the situation. Okay. So presumably the internal bleeding is connected to another health issue, and it happened because of, what, not eating or something maybe? I don't know. They had to put me on medication to knock me out every night, and I'm still dependent on it. Shortly after you last heard from me, I had dreams and thoughts about ending my own life. Dreams? That would have been a real good twist on the Martin Luther King dream speech. I felt I didn't deserve to live, that my life was already over. My mother's high blood pressure was exacerbated by my suicidal ideations, and her health worsened too. She was in the ER twice, and only just recently started to recover. When I first called my mom about it, she asked me to hang up and call the state suicide prevention hotline. Some kind folks came to my home, I told them my side of it, and they placed me in a mental ward for my own protection. I spent a night in a holding facility awaiting care at one point, which was the worst night of this entire ordeal. It was 4 concrete walls, not properly heated, all alone with my own thoughts of how I wanted to die, but it started to get better after that. So, yeah, suicidal ideation, real thing, can be totally unwanted. You can have intrusive thoughts of suicide and so on and so forth. In like a self-defense document, I'm not a fan of including a detailed account of your torments. You get me? Not a valid play. Everyone on the inside was kind to me and didn't judge. They understood how people could misconstrue several things about me. It wasn't easy though. I cried for my friends many times, not able to know how many of them still liked or cared about me. While in care, I learned I hadn't been okay mentally for a while and didn't understand some things about myself. Something my friends were worried about before. It's effective, Retrogoon. It's effective. It's a trade. It's a trade-off. There are some people who will focus on his suffering and be like, look at what these people did to him, and that will blot out any other considerations for some chunk of people. To people like me, I'm wary of the inclusion of so much detail about his personal experience. I'm wary of that being a deliberate strategy. So it will have that reverse effect on some people. But really, does this have any bearing? Like, what's the point of this? But also the claim, he says he's sharing this in the hopes that it might help someone. They can't grasp tailoring a piece of media to an audience. True. They will read this line and say, no, it says it's to help people. This chunk of the document has nothing to do with anything else. It's just him being a hero. He just decided to casually be a hero at the end of this document. While in care, I learned I hadn't been okay mentally for a while and didn't understand some things about myself. My biases would lead me to, in a document like this, I would omit. If I'd done this and been through this, I would actually deliberately omit this because I'd be uncomfortable using it because I'd feel it might have like a manipulative effect on the reader beyond what I'm comfortable with and what I think is right. But that's my personal taste. I learned I hadn't been okay mentally for a while and didn't understand some things about myself, something my friends were worried about before this all happened. I found out I had undiagnosed psychotic depression and a chemical deficiency in my brain. I lack foot stink in between the wrinkles of my cranium. It explained a lot about my life up to this point. I'm not sharing this as an excuse. It is the explanation of what? The explanation of what? I could stay bitter/sad about things for years. I handled crises poorly, and my text roleplay behavior would crop up in times of crisis. Is he saying depression is why he talks about foot stuff and might be pushy with it? That's what he's explaining? Stop. I now take medication for this depression. Heck, just be... Because, like, super stop, because regardless of why you did it, the Lady Emily stuff is fine. Like, nothing wrong happened there. Medication, heck, just being aware I had it made it so much easier to know what to do and catch it in the act. As a result of my training at the Jedi Academy and reflection, I realized social knowledge that I was lacking. Another behavior that got me into trouble was that if a conversation went far into a topic and the other person said they were fine with it, that would become the new limit. I thought that as long as I explained myself and got an okay, we were all good. Yeah, this follows a logic and I can see why I believed this, but I understand now that depending on the person, it can get to be too much if we go there again and again. I want to thank another patient in the psych ward for pointing out that I get stuck in mental loops during a crisis and helped me to snap out of it. If you're reading this, Destiny! No, is this... So I'm aware of the Destiny lore where he does mushrooms and he explained himself as being unable to stop looping, and then after doing the mushrooms he'd get caught in loops. And now he had his looping pointed out by a guy called Destiny? It's actually Destiny! He goes around the mental wards breaking retards out of mental loops. If you're reading this, Destiny, you helped me escape the loop. And I only wished you were here sooner because you put it into words that finally got through to me. Dread it, run from it, the loop breaker arrives. I think I need to go back in time a bit to talk about my mental health. Back in 21, I went through many hardships all at once and it still stands as the worst year of my life. I tried getting psychiatric help, but the mental health industry was overrun due to the pandemic and I was denied help at every turn. At one point, it took my healthcare 9 months to get back to me, only to be told, sorry, there's just nothing available. Similarly, I was physically cut off from everyone I knew and lived alone in my house for months. The only help I could get for this in 2021 at all was a phone service that sponsors YouTubers. Oh no. Name it, you coward! And honestly, it didn't work and I now have a low opinion of it. But you're not gonna name it? They even encouraged my role-playing with friends as a fix for the hardships I was going through. My man signed up to BetterHelp and they encouraged him to do foot roleplay. Oh my god. That was how I got back into it after a long time. BetterHelp activated his foot fetish? Wait, he got over it and BetterHelp brought it back? And what pushed me to ask Loli as an adult? BetterHelp got me to get back in contact with the girl who I flirted with when she was 15 and I was 19. And do foot roleplay. Thank you, BetterHelp. Use code Chugga for 50% off. I'd had a few bad years and think I just made some bad calls. My counselor there didn't know about the internet. What is it some kind of series of tubes? Only listened to me for a few months and then recommended I leave so their schedule could fit in more suicidal people. All of this wasn't fair to her and I helped cause it. For both our sakes, will not make a mistake like this again. I work hard every day to make sure our future together can be a happy, comfortable life. We had a particularly memorable night where I opened up about the full timeline that got me here. I cried a lot, but by the end of it, we were acting like things were normal again, laughing and making fun of each other. It was a big turning point. I think it was the moment I finally forgave my past self. Keep it for your diary, dog. I didn't get another job, but instead lived as a house husband, making sure everything was taken care of for her. My care made me a better chef. That's pretty good. And gave me a greater understanding of what she's always done for me. I had some struggles with spending every waking moment writing down video ideas because it was the only routine I knew. My girlfriend liked that I was passionate about something at first, but later worried because it put pressure on me to consider a return to videos. I feel like my chest and head are going to explode constantly because of the pressure to do stuff. I can relate. She was right, but stopping was an especially difficult thing to do. This craft has been so much of my life up to this point, and I've always loved the joy it brings to others. Gave me a strong purpose. Okay, that's cringe at this point. I just kind of sat around for days not knowing what to do with myself. About 2 months into being gone from the internet, I began wishing I would be killed. You can't drop lines like that and not have people laugh. Okay, just breathe. I didn't want to do it myself anymore, but I felt like it would bring an end to my suffering, that I could rest easy believing that. I felt like without my ability to entertain, I had no place in the world. Seeking healthcare where I was staying was difficult, my condition was worsening, and I realized I needed to come home. A lot of you may live in places where this isn't a problem, but the added stress of tremendous medical bills didn't help my health either. Sadly, this meant my partner and I couldn't see each other for a long time. We were long distance, and this situation was so taxing on her health that she needed a medical leave from work. All of this broke right at the start of a visit from my girlfriend. This trip was meant to be extra special, because we were 1 day away from getting on a plane to go on vacation, where she would have met all my friends for the first time, and this was to be the trip where we would have figured out our long-term future living together. Okay, whatever. Instead, I spent half of the visit preparing a statement and the other half in a mental ward while she sat home alone with my friend Tim. Oh shit, I've been revealed as the puppet master yet again. I didn't even get to say goodbye because I was still in hospital when she flew home and was forcibly placed in a ward with no visitors. This meant she used up all her vacation time on a trip where I didn't get to see her. Oh, don't worry, Tim saw her though. Okay. Once I needed to come home from seeing her, we didn't know when we could meet again. It's been hard when we were used to visiting often before and had a whole visit taken away from us at the last second. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Who asked?